What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to look at one of the very few battle cards from Wave 2 we've not yet looked at on this channel. It's time to have a look at combat commands, though honestly, we're really going to be taking a look at the Sentinels in general. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Sentinels. Look, I'm totally biased. I admit it. I'm fine with it. It's the only way I can play Hot Rod. I adore Hot Rod, as I know to many of you. And the only way that you can play Hot Rod at the moment is to play a Sentinels deck. Okay, that's not strictly true. You could play it in a non-Sentinels deck, but that would make me incredibly sad, and I really don't think you should. So, it's time to have a little bit of a look at combat commands and how it's going to help these Sentinels out. It does have a white icon, which is lovely. Means you flip 2 more battle icons when attacking or defending, if it's the first white you flipped. It does give you +1 attack, which is nice. But it is all for Sentinels here. Literally to the point where it reads, put on Sentinels only. Now, it's an upgrade utility, and to be honest, getting +1 attack from a utility upgrade in and of itself is pretty sweet. But it reads, when the upgraded character attacks, you may flip a Sentinel in your KO area from bot mode to alt mode. If you do, flip it back to bot mode. Now, this is really important because the Sentinels all combine to form Optimus Maximus, who's pretty gosh darned good. The thing is, in order to form up into Optimus Maximus, you need to play Sentinel Enigma. And in order to play Sentinel Enigma to get Optimus Maximus out, you've got to have 6 Sentinels in your KO area or on the field in bot mode. So you need to be in bot mode. So if combat commands could only be put on a Sentinel and it flipped them back into alt mode, that would be rubbish and very counterintuitive. And when we first saw this card, right, we didn't know what the Sentinels were or what they did. We had no knowledge of them whatsoever. Well, the good news is now we know quite a bit more about them. So is combat commands any good? You've got to put it on a Sentinel, and then when that Sentinel attacks, you may flip a different Sentinel in your KO area. Now that, of course, is very important. It means you need to be careful to try and have this on one of your bots, which is going to stay around for a little while. Actually, as a quick side note here, I should mention Optimus Prime Gleaming Commander, because actually this is one of those combiners that actually breaks the rules, because it's more than 25 stars. I mean, look, it's a 6-bot combiner, and Optimus Prime alone is 11 stars. But the difference here, very simply, is when it begins, if you've only got Sentinel characters on the battlefield, Optimus Prime will let you put the other 3 from outside the game into the KO area. To be fair, it doesn't have to be the other 3, but it really, really should be. Alrighty then. And Optimus Prime has got a bot mode skill. When this attacks and you flip at least 1 white, 1 orange, 1 blue, you may flip a character in your KO area to its other mode. So if you can flip a nice variety of icons, you can actually get 1 turn closer to combining, which is nice. And then, of course, you've got Rapid Ascent to get closer to combining. But we're not talking about combining. We're talking about flipping in the KO area, which only happens prior to combination. And that's one last point I should make before we look at all the Sentinels here. Once you've combined, this gives you +1 attack. You can put this on Optimus Maximus, it is a Sentinel, it gives you +1 attack. And the white icon's fine, but to be perfectly blunt with you, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as you reach the point where you've combined, this becomes a lot worse. So, how worth it is it pre-combination? Well, let's have a look at Hot Rod. When this is in your KO area, and you flip into bot mode, do 1 damage to an enemy. It's a zap. Cool. Thing is, you got 2 options here. You can either let Hot Rod be KO'd when you're in alt mode, and then you flip it into bot mode and get the skill when you're in the KO area, or you flip it before he gets KO'd and you never get this skill. To be fair, if we look at Hot Rod, there is absolutely no reason to flip it before you hit the KO area, unless you really want to use combat commands nice and early. Because it's got the same stats in alt mode plus tough 1. It's just better in alt mode. So what you do here is ideal situation, it gets KO'd in alt mode, you flip it into bot mode. And then one of your other Sentinels attacks, and you get to flip it into alt mode, then back into bot mode, you get the skill again. So it gets KO'd, it's in the KO area. You flip it as your flip for the turn. You are allowed to flip KO'd characters in the KO area, but only using your flip for the turn. Something like rapid conversion wouldn't work. The only reason combat commands work is because it specifically says on the card that you can flip a bot in the KO area. So here, if you time this correctly, you use your flip for the turn to do an extra damage, and then when you attack, you do another extra damage with Hot Rod. That's 2 extra damage in one go. That's pretty good. Now, I love me some Hot Rod, and I've told you that Optimus Prime doesn't do anything in terms of flipping in the KO area, but we've still got some others that do. We've got Ironhide. Once again, this is a character that you want to keep in alt mode. Same stats plus bold 1. But when it's in your KO area and you flip it into bot mode, each of your characters gets Pierce 2 until end of turn. This is beautiful, because now you're getting Pierce 2. That guarantees 2 damage. I see a bunch of questions about Pierce and how it works, but the best way to think about it is Pierce guarantees that you do either the amount of Pierce you've got or the amount of attack you have. Whichever one is lower is guaranteed. So this is a really good skill that we are definitely going to get some use out of. If you really want Pierce, if you really want to guarantee that damage, attack with a combat commands on one of your Sentinels, and then go flip your Ironhide. And like I've said, you end up in bot mode, so you're not further away from combining. We also have a new Prowl, which is a Sentinel. Now, Prowl was one of my favourite Wave 1 characters. The video I made about Prowl, I posed the question, is it the best car in Wave 1? And I still think that might be true. That's bearing in mind it's a 6 cost. I know we've got some other really good cars, but they're generally a little bit more expensive. Taking the cost into account, it's at least arguable. But anyway, what does new Prowl do? Well, new Prowl has got bold 1 in alt mode and the same stats, so again, don't need to flip it before the KO. When this is in your KO area and you flip it to bot mode, scrap an enemy weapon. Now, this one I like very much indeed because it's incredibly situational. So you get Prowl in your KO area, and then at some point, you see that your opponent's got a grenade launcher that you'd really like to get rid of. Or you see that your opponent's got a piercing blaster, and you're a little bit worried that your opponent is going to take advantage of that pierce on you. Great news! Attack with combat commands attached, and you basically get to scrap a weapon. We've also got Autobot Mirage. Autobot Mirage actually has higher attack in bot mode, so there is a strong argument that this is one of the ones that you'd want to transform before getting KO'd. It does have Pierce 2 in alt mode, mind you, which is pretty good. When this is in your KO area and you flip to the bot mode, look at your opponent's hand and scrap an action from it. Here it really depends on the amount of information that you've got. So let's say, for argument's sake, your opponent actually pulls off the Ancient Wisdom Unleash Potential combo. That allows them to put an action card, or a star card, action or upgrade, from outside the game into their hand. Problem is, they've already played their action for the turn. So if you see them pull this off and then go and grab a Leap of Faith, incidentally, Leap of Faith, as far as I'm concerned, best star card, it's awesome, then all of a sudden that's going to give you a turn where you know they've got it in hand, and you can take advantage of combat commands to go and flip Mirage, and you're rolling. And then finally we've got Sunstreaker, which is interesting in that it has higher defense in bot mode, higher attack in alt mode, so it really depends on your strategy as to which mode you want it in. Tough 1 in alt mode is fine, but when this is in your KO area and you flip to bot mode, you draw a card. Cool. Maybe you're really digging for that one action or upgrade, or maybe you just want a bit of card advantage. It's not always going to be the best one, because if you know that your opponent's got something like Leap of Faith in hand, then all of a sudden Autobot Mirage becomes absolutely brilliant. If you know that your opponent's got one character with 1 damage remaining, then using Autobot Hot Rod is absolutely brilliant. If you know you just need to do 2 damage to get a KO with your attack, then using Ironhide to give PS2 is brilliant. Drawing a card can be good, but there are going to be plenty of times you know that one of the other effects is great. So to circle back around then to the whole point of this video, to answer the question I asked at the beginning of the video, how good is this? How good is Combat Command? And the answer is awesome. +1 attack, nice. White icon, nice. But being able to essentially allow you to choose from 3 or 4 of these different options is wonderful. Essentially, you're going to be playing Optimus Prime and 2 other Sentinels, and then putting 3 in the KO area at the beginning of the game. And because of Combat Commands, you are legitimately going to be thinking about which ones you want in your KO area, so that you can take advantage of their skills, their abilities. It's pretty gosh darn good. It's going to depend on what you really want to do with your deck as to whether you've got space for this, and it is significantly weaker after you combine. But ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness, I like this very much indeed. But I would like to know what you think about it, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. But please do remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about, well, games, if you couldn't guess that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.